March the 8th is International Women's Day. This is a day where we celebrate the achievements of women and look to accelerate gender equality across the globe. To celebrate this, I thought it'd be really great to hear from some amazing women that we have across Weetwood. We'll be talking to them about their careers and also some of the challenges that they've faced. The theme for International Women's Day this year is Choose to Challenge. I'm Sharon Slinger and I choose to challenge on a daily basis. Working in the male-dominated construction industry, I've set out to try and make it inclusive to all. Anyway, I'm now going to pass over to the amazing women from Weetwood, and let's hear their stories. Over to you.
Hello, my name's Jo Bell and I'm head teacher at Lawnswood School. I've only worked in Leeds since 2012, having previously lived and worked in Gloucestershire, Birmingham and London. I love living in Yorkshire and I'm particularly proud to be part of the Weetwood Award through my role in school. I've been a leader in education for 20 years and during that time I've seen a lot of change, most of which I've welcomed and some of which has been more challenging, particularly in the last year. I didn't always know what I wanted to do as a child. Family members would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I just didn't have an answer for them. I knew I always wanted to work with people and help people. I toyed with the idea of being a solicitor, but it wasn't until a new history teacher arrived at our school that I really realised which direction I wanted my life to go in. She was young, enthusiastic, and made learning fun, and I knew that I wanted to do the same. Throughout my career, I've been fortunate to work with leaders who have believed in me, supported me, and shaped me as a leader, even if they didn't know it. All leaders face challenge, and the way I face challenge is to stop, don't panic, and remember why I do the job I do. Remember that my role is to ensure students have the foundations to go on and be happy, safe, and successful in whatever they decide. I've taken my inspiration from many people in my life. My family is full of strong, independent females. And I never remember thinking or feeling that I couldn't do anything or that I shouldn't try something. But I do remember thinking and feeling that there was an expectation that I didn't give up, that I achieved my goal. So as we celebrate International Women's Day 2021, my message to all young people in Leeds is to decide what you want to do, decide what you want to be, work out how you're going to get there, and then don't let anyone or anything stand in your way.
Hello, my name's Pam. I was born and brought up in Liverpool, but I've lived most of my adult life in Leeds. I was brought up to work hard, both academically and at everything I tackled, and not to expect anything to come easily. Over the years, I worked as a waitress, a shop assistant. I was organiser of old people's welfare in Leeds for a while. I've been a careers advisor, an education welfare officer, and for many years I was a primary school teacher, mainly helping young children to enjoy music and drama and creative writing. Eventually I discovered that what I really enjoyed was acting, but by that time I'd left it a bit too late to try and make a career of it. It is especially difficult for women in the arts, particularly theatre, where there must be 10 times as many roles for men as there are for women, and at least 10 times as many women who want to be actors. And really, your location, your contacts, and sheer luck can have as much significance as your actual ability. So, like many people, I had to temper my dreams and hopes with a hefty dose of realism. But what I have learned is that you can gain as much satisfaction from working to the best of your ability and doing a job well in any situation as you can from earning a proper wage. I've done lots of small-scale touring and community theatre for either low pay or none at all. And how much money I take home, if anything, it really makes no difference to the performance I give. If an audience is paid to watch, they deserve the best you can offer, whether you're getting paid or not. I think this probably applies to all sorts of activities, not just the arts. Over the last few years, I've worked as a role player, training doctors and dentists, nurses, pharmacists, head teachers, even council staff. And I've also done all sorts of different kinds of performance, including broadcasting on internet radio. I now have a simple rule. I accept any work that I believe I can do well, as long as it's either interesting or I'm being paid. Sometimes I'm lucky enough to get both together, but that's a bonus.
Hello, I'm Hayley Marshall. I'm head teacher here at Iverson Primary School in Leeds. It gives me great pleasure to be speaking to you on International Women's Day. When I was first asked if I'd like to make a short video for today, I really reflected on what I wanted to say. I've been fortunate enough to work in primary education all my career and haven't faced some of the challenges that I know friends and colleagues in other professions might have done. But it did lead me back to thinking how I came to be a teacher in the first place. And I'd gone along to a career advice session, which was basically with the deputy head of the school. I think they're very different now. And he asked me what I wanted to be. I was quite clear what I wanted to be, and I told him I wanted to be an archaeologist. At which point he popped his glasses on the end of his nose, peered over them and said, "Oh, my dear, you've two things against you. One, you're a girl, and two, you're not that bright." I walked out of the room really disappointed. Disappointed that he thought girls couldn't be archaeologists, but also by the fact that because I wasn't the top academic set, but worked hard for what I got, somehow didn't count. Fortunately, 2 weeks later, I met a very positive influence, Dr. Fred Price, who'd come along from Trinity and All Saints College to talk about education, its importance, and encourage us to think about it as a career. It was a changing moment in my life, and I decided that's what I was going to do. I was going to go into education, become a teacher, make sure that nobody was told they could or couldn't do something because of their gender or because of someone else's views, and that I'd wanted to encourage children to be the best they could be. Throughout my career, I've challenged some of the rhetoric around successful women because I do appreciate how hard it is for them to get there. But I've also been influenced by many people, both men and women alike, and I'm aware that we all face bias in different contexts depending on what's happening. I think the really important thing for all of us to do is to challenge it whenever we see it, and to whoever it happens to be against, so that one day there won't be a need for Women's International Day because all people will be treated equally.
My name is Pat Belford, and I have lived in since 1972, when my husband and I bought the house and we came along with our 3 young children. I'm now on my own, but we've always loved the house. It's very much a family home, and we just love living here because of the access to the parks and also the ease of getting to public transport. My first introduction to Far Headingley was when I was 18, and I came up to Leeds Training College, which is now Leeds Beckett University, to train as a primary school teacher. And so I was there for 2 years, and then I was a teacher for almost 30 years, but obviously with a 9-year gap to have the children. While I was teaching, I got interested in writing for children. I wrote one short story for Radio Leeds, and they then asked me to make it a series, and I ended up writing 15 stories for Radio Leeds, and they were broadcast every Tuesday, and they were all about some characters called Samantha and Mike. After I'd had these stories broadcast, the producer suggested I try to get them published, and one of the educational publishers took 4 of the stories and produced them, and they were used in schools for about 20 years. And as soon as they were published, they asked me to write 4 more for slightly older children, which I did. And since then, they've been translated into Dutch. The last book for children I wrote was a Victorian story based in Leeds, and it's called A Kitten in Daisy Street. And I was inspired to write that when I went to the Abbey House Museum in Kirksville, because they, at that time, they had a roundabout which was pulled by horses. It used to go around the streets. And the children could have rides on it while the horse ate its dinner on a nose bag. That also has been translated into several languages. I also teamed up with a friend who writes music, and we wrote several musicals, operettas for schools as well. More recently, I've been writing short stories for women's magazines, mostly The People's Friend. And I like that. I'm still doing that. I had a story accepted just a couple of weeks ago. The biggest challenge I ever had was when I was 16, because my mother died after a short illness, and I was in the sixth form, and my sister was only 13. So I decided I'd have to leave school and in order to help to run the house and look after my sister and my father. And as it happened, I was offered a part-time job at a private school for young children as a pupil teacher. So for 2 years before I went up to Leeds Training College, I was teaching young children, and it was a very useful experience. And at the same time running the house. I taught for 17 years at Islandwood Primary School, and I was the music coordinator, so as well as having a class, I built up an orchestra with little violinists, viola players, cellists, wind and brass players, and we ended up having quite a big orchestra, which delighted the middle school because we fed all these children into the middle school already playing instruments. And I was also the head of North West Leeds Music Centre for 3 or 4 years up at Tins Hill.
Hi, I'm Dax Patel, an author, solicitor and a leadership coach. I've lived in Weetwood for 22 years now, and my favourite part of Weetwood is Golden Acre Park. One of the challenges I faced was becoming a partner in a 200-year-old law firm where it was quite hard to break the glass ceiling. My female role model is Maya Angelou, and I'm going to leave you with a quote that has inspired me, and I hope it inspires you. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion and some humour, and some style. And I would add to her quote, and with some panache. To all those young women out there, if you want to achieve something, you know you can. All the best.